Hello and a warm welcome to Nationwide, reaching you live from our network studio in Abuja. I'm Joseph Johnson. Thanks for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed grief over the killing of farmers on rice fields in Jere local government area of Borno State, describing the terrorist killings as insane. In a statement, the president says the entire country is hurt by these senseless killings and prayed Allah to grant the souls of the departed rest in peace. He said his thoughts are with the bereaved families in this time of grief. President Buhari said all the needed support had been given to the armed forces to take necessary steps to protect the country's population and its territory. Abubakar in our Maiduguri Network Center has more on the burial of rice farmers and other reports in that zone. Abubakar.
That's true, Joseph. Good afternoon. 34 out of the 43 people killed by persons suspected to be Boko Haram insurgents on rice farms in Zabarmari village in Jere local government of Borno State have been laid to rest. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum attended the funeral prayer where he condemned the attack and stressed the need for enhanced collaboration with neighboring countries to end the terrorism and senseless killings. Mohammed Goni completes the story.
Zabarmari and Koshebe villages are some of the areas known for cultivation of rice and other farm produce, with people from different parts of the country depending on the area for their livelihoods. It was these innocent Nigerians that were massacred by the suspected Boko Haram insurgents. A survivor of the attack on farmlands, Usman Ismail, said the victims were picked by the insurgents on different farmlands and assembled them under the pretext that they will be interrogated, after which they were slaughtered one after the other.
sun tattara mutane ne a matsayin za su je su doka musu kaya su kai ashe ba haka bane da suka gama tara mutane sai su kawo yan uwansu saura su tare mutane sai su shiga daji su sake su taro mutane su zo da su idan suka kawo suka rufe sai su sake su koma su gargado mutane ba harbi suke ba balle ka ji ka gudu.
Governor Bagana Umara, who attended the funeral prayer, also condoled the communities affected by the massacre, praying Allah to grant the deceased souls eternal rest and the families they left behind the fortitude to bear the loss. The governor also stressed commitment of government to explore all options to protect farmers on their farmlands, including digging trenches to fortify them.
Our people are in very difficult conditions. They are in two extreme conditions. On one side, if they stay at home, they may be killed by hunger and starvation. They cannot go out to their farmlands because they should be killed by the insurgents. We shall re-strategize and ensure domination, entire domination of this area, the Zabarmari Gongolong, Koshebe exists. We shall ensure recruitment of more civilians, yet more hunters.
The governor, who acknowledged efforts of the federal government in the counter-insurgency operations, also called for recruitment of more use of Borno extraction to join the security formations, including the Nigerian military. Apart from the 34 buried, more bodies are being evacuated from different farmlands, while members of the affected communities say the number could be higher than the 43 earlier announced. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Away from the unfortunate incident in Zabarmari now, it is almost the last month of the ember season and Yuletide approaches, characterized by increased volume of traffic on the Nigerian highways. It is in that light that the Borno State Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps is sustaining sensitization campaign on safe motoring for zero crashes. Pauline Kujevana has more details.
Ember months of the year are characterized by increased vehicular movement, which often result to accidents, leading to death and injuries. Hence, the coordinated effort by FRSC, NEMA, and Red Cross to respond swiftly to emergency situations on the highways.
In Benishek case, we are trying to ensure that the community are well trained to assist FRSC in case there is any crash.
In terms of RTC, Benishek's that route is bleeding. So we are going to take all the proactive measures to ensure that we minimize the road traffic around that area to the barest minimum.
We assure the road safety that
during this period of this Amber Patrol, all these equipment are available for use when the need arises.
The representative of Borno State Governor, who is also the Commissioner of Transport, Abubakar Tijani, commended FRSC for the campaign and directed the command to henceforth arrest vehicles loading outside motor park.
No doubt in our mind that the Federal Road Safety Corps Borno State chapter is ever ready and wholly ready to serve the people of the state. General Manager Borno Express Corporation, Gray Makari, Director Noah, Shatima Jafar Imam, and representative of the Shehu of Borno, among other speakers, put forth words of caution to road users, saying it is possible to drive without being involved in accidents. With a theme, Drive safe and stay safe. The campaign also called for adherence to COVID-19 protocols, just as civil society organizations donated drugs for the treatment of commercial vehicles drivers' eyes. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujavana, NTA News.
And those are the latest stories. For now, from Maiduguri, Joseph in Abuja has more reports for us on Nationwide. So, Joseph.
Abubakar. Information Communication technology, ICT, has been described as a catalyst for sustainable socio-economic development of the country. This was the view of stakeholders at the 8th regular meeting of the National Council on Communications and Digital Economy held in Owerri, the Imo State capital. Beatrice Ayam reports.
The meeting of the National Council on Communications and Digital Economy has as its theme leveraging on digital economy, policies and strategies for economic recovery in a COVID-19 era and beyond. The workshop commenced with a technical session with stakeholders in the communication sector taking stock and strategizing on how to improve the economy by changing focus to digital skills. The permanent secretary of the ministry, Musa Istifanos, who chaired the technical session, says the workshop will afford them the opportunity to tackle new challenges and proffer solutions on job creation for the teeming unemployed youths.
We have developed some policies and some master plan, one of which is our broadband plan 2020 to 2025. The idea is to cover up to 90% of Nigerians in such a way that once we develop these facilities and it is able to reach all Nigerians, then there will be less people that will need to actually move out to access any facility that they want.
Other stakeholders speak.
Government is doing their best to make sure that in the coming days, everything about governance must be electronic.
What we are trying to achieve now is that the focus interests of Nigeria from oil and focus on entrepreneurship, innovation.
The Minister, Federal Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, is expected to give a keynote address on Monday, November 30, being the last day of the workshop, while the stakeholders drawn from across the country will come up with a communique. In Owerri, Beatrice Anyam, NTA News.
Given the fact that permanent secretaries occupy the highest position in the civil service, they are key to actualizing government policies and aims. This is why the federal government, through the Ministry of Budget and National Planning, is organizing a capacity-building retreat to ensure a common front in government's fight against corruption. Chumobi Walter Naji reports.
For permanent secretaries organized by the Federal Ministry of Budget and National Planning is a public-private engagement with Conrad Adenauer Stiftung. Its objective targets refreshing and equipping participants with effective policy formulation procedure in the process of developing the new short and long-term development plan of the federal government.
The modules will get everyone involved in an intensive immersion experience, covering cross-cutting topics and emerging issues of global importance. These issues have far-reaching impact on the efficiency of government business. In particular, the Lean Sigma training will equip you with the various skills that benefit not only your immediate governmental responsibilities and by extension the government, but also your individual everyday interactions as well.
Good governance, when internalized and applied by government actors, translates everywhere in the world into respect for the rule of law, transparency, accountability, efficiency, and equity. Furthermore, important preconditions of good governance are also a process of strategic long-term planning.
The retreat explores various leadership principles and practices that will ensure a proper succession plan in the civil service, build emotional intelligence in problem solving and conflict resolution, as well as critical thinking for progressive governance.
Most of the time, our officers and stakeholders have access to information on resources of the ministry, perhaps even before the permanent secretaries get to know. And so communication is key. And there's certainly nothing wrong in wide consultation.
The retreat is drawing participants from all federal government ministries. In Abuja, Chimubi Walter Naji, NTA News.
The National Commission for Museums and Monuments has taken custodian of the priceless repatriated Ife terracotta head returned by the government of Netherlands. At a public presentation of the artifact in Abuja, the Director General of the Commission, Professor Abbas Issa Tijani, said plans are on to return more stolen cultural arts. In Nayakaloka has more.
Unique and rare terracotta head, said to be from Ile-Ife, Osun State, is dated back to more than 600 years. The approximately 16 centimeters tall head depicts a girl or young woman with her hair tightly braided in several buns.
Ife is famous for this terracotta and bronze artifacts, and this is one of such, Ife heads.
With pattern on her face, a bomb on the top left side of her head, possibly representing an amulet braided into her hair. The Ife terracotta head, now with the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, is said to be exceedingly rare.
This is priceless. You can't put a price on this.
The terracotta head was returned by the government of Netherlands after it was stolen out of the country.
We have strengthened our ways of keeping our objects safe in our storage and in our exhibition areas, but also our customs here in Nigeria are fully informed that any artifact, whether it's contemporary or antiquity, cannot be taken out of Nigeria without our permit.
Oyinne Akalo Oka, NTA News.
Let's take some messages at this point. We'll be right back with more stories.
A scorecard like no other. Government has put in place measures and initiatives principally targeted at youths, women, and the most vulnerable groups in our society. These included broad plan to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in the next 10 years. The creation of 75 billion naira National Youth Investment Fund to provide opportunities for the youths, and the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Survivor Fund, through which government is A. Paying 3-month salaries of the staff of 100,000 micro, small and medium enterprises. B. Paying for the registration of 250,000 businesses at the Corporate Affairs Commission. C. Giving a grant of 30,000 naira to 100,000 artisans and guaranteeing market for the product of traders. These are in addition to many other initiatives such as farmer money, trader money, market money, N-Power, N-Tech, and N-Agro. These and more in spite of a recession and a global pandemic.
International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. we provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android, Intelsat 901 degree east. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
The Council of Our Fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
You're watching NTA Nationwide. Let's now join Awal in our Lagos Network Center for the next set of reports.
Thank you, Joseph. A new governance experience beckons in Abuja Ketu Local Council Development Area (LCDA) and Apapa Igomu LCDA in Lagos State as the state government inaugurates new administrative secretariats to scale up service delivery. Nosausula reports that Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu immortalized the late Senator Bayo Oshinowo by naming one of the administrative blocks at Abuja Ketu Local Council Development Area in his honor.
Scores of jubilant residents trooped out in both councils to receive the governor and his entourage aside inaugurating the 28-room secretariat complex in Agboyi Ketu LCDA, named after the late Senator Adebayo Oshinowo, who represented Lagos East Senatorial District in the Senate. The governor also canvassed support for the APC candidates in the forthcoming by-elections in the East Senatorial District and State Assembly seat in Kushofe constituency.
Certainly we know what he stood for. Certainly a lot of things have been said for what he believed and his political strength. He was a bill bridger, he was a motivator, he was a man that stood for so many things, and we thank God for his life that indeed even within first year anniversary, we can begin to see things being commemorated in his memory.
In addition to inaugurating the new Apapa Igomu Secretariat Complex, named after APC national leader Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Governor Sanwo-Olu also inaugurated 13 newly constructed and rehabilitated roads, a library complex, and primary health center. The governor urged residents to take ownership of the projects, asking them to protect the infrastructure initiated for their use. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTA News.
And now to safe motoring. As the Yuletide fast approaches, the Federal Road Safety Corps says it will not relent in sensitizing road users on safety measures to forestall accidents and incidents during their travels. Nosausula again reports that the Zonal Commanding Officer of the Corps called on the motoring public to make the year 2020 Yuletide crash-free at Ikorodu.
The Federal Road Safety Corps had earlier begun its end-of-the-year nationwide campaign with the theme, Drive Safe and Stay Safe, advocating for safer driving. The Zonal Commanding Officer of the FRSC, who was represented by the Unit Commander, Lekki Unit, Wasiu Adejumobi, stated that road traffic crashes are avoidable and road crash-free society is possible when best road practices are applied.
At this time, because of the envisaged increase in vehicular movement and goods and services that will need to be provided, definitely we have envisaged that the roads will be filled up and that people need to tread cautiously at this time of the year.
The unit commander, Ikorodu Unit Command of the FRSC, Olawale Karim, who explained that the purpose of the campaign is to call on people to comply with traffic rules and regulations, warned motorists to avoid driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Motorists were urged to to strictly adhere to all COVID-19 prevention protocols, as the enforcement on 50% carrying capacity for all vehicles targeted at creating adequate physical distancing is still in place, and the Corps will not spare any fleet operator caught violating these directives.
Joseph, it's back to you.
Many thanks, Owal. As part of efforts to make life better for every Nigerian, irrespective of their location, the federal government, through the Rural Electrification Agency, has provided 100 kilowatt power solar hybrid mini-grid to the people of Budo Are community in Itesiwaju local government area of Oyo State. Kayode Oladosu has more.
Access to constant electricity supply is key to the development of any community. This has been part of the drive for the agendas and policies of the federal government, especially in provision of electricity to people in the rural areas. The responsibility is shouldered by the Rural Electrification Agency through public-private partnership, seeks to provide this basic amenity for the people. On this premise, Budo Are, an agrarian community in Oyo State, now enjoys a new lease of life through the provision of solar-powered electricity for the first time in its over 100 years of existence.
To continue to work with the developer just to ensure that we maintain this project and we sustain it for a long time. So I expect that in the next century, this, we should have more and more of this.
As a state government, we've seen the benefits of such interventions, and we'll be providing the capital for some of them, and we've also submitted the documentations and the coordinates to the REA so that we can come under a number of their programs for such interventions.
For the people of Budo Are community, it is a welcome development, as these will boost their socio-economic potentials.
I am happy as I hear say them bring this light come here, because me I did come here before, but as I come here I can't see pole. So now waiting make me come say this pole now this electricity they go carry come there now solar. I say this thing go make sense now. So now waiting make me come back to stay here with that.
Since they started this thing, everything in this community is changing. More people will like to come here, and we that are here already, we're enjoying the light, and it will affect it positively.
Rural Electrification Agency is the implementing agency of the federal government of Nigeria, saddled with the responsibility of the electrification of unserved and underserved communities across the country. From Budo Are, Itesiwaju local government area of Oyo State, Kayode Oladosu, NTA News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Imo State, says all is set for the smooth conduct of the Imo North Senatorial District by-election, which comes up on the 5th of December 2020. The resident Electoral Commissioner, Imo State, Professor Francis Ezonu, made this known while briefing journalists in Owerri. Faith Iguelu reports.
The Imo State INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, Professor Francis Ezonu, says the Commission has put in place necessary measures to ensure a credible and transparent by-election. He says sensitive and non-sensitive materials are already available and will be inspected by the Commission 48 hours before the election.
And the central bank materials will get to the local government. And then by Friday, that's the sensitive materials, the smart card readers, all the result sheets, EC8A, EC8B, and EC8D, they will all get to, and EC8E as well, they will all get to the polling units and the constituency offices. Presently, we are as ready as we can be.
On the Himembano and Ezinihitembi INEC offices, which were vandalized and set ablaze during the NSAS protest, the REC says alternative measures have been put in place to ensure a hitch-free exercise. He further says that the NCDC COVID-19 preventive measures will be strictly adhered to in view of the need to ensure the safety of voters.
The chairman of the transition committee at the Himembano has been very, very cooperative. He has given us a place to stay in the interim so that we can conduct the election. We have also received the pharmaceutical intervention materials for COVID-19. This include the hand sanitizers, face mask, face shield. We have also received methylated spirits and cotton wool to ensure that we don't encourage COVID-19 transmission.
The Imo North Senatorial District by-election, slated to hold 5th of December 2020, will be conducted to fill the vacancy created by Senator Benjamin Owajumogu, who died last year. From Owerri, Faith Ibilo, NTA News.
The federal government has rolled out intervention program towards boosting food production during dry season farming activities. The initiative is also to cushion the effects of losses recorded as a result of flood during the year. Musa Babali reports.
Farmers described the 2020 rainy season as a promising one, as the rains came early, as predicted by the Nigeria Meteorological Agency. Farmers took advantage of it and planted crops in good time. The cropping season was, however, disrupted by flood that submerged and washed away farms and produce that were ready for harvest.
What Kebbi State has lost in terms of crops could run into billions of naira. Federal government should not be left alone to provide agri inputs to the farmers. It is the sole responsibility of the state government. After all, agriculture is on the concurrent legislative list. The federal government is therefore supporting farmers with improved seeds of rice, wheat, groundnut, cowpea and soybeans for the dry season farming. Equipment for irrigation and chemicals were also provided to farmers in Kebbi and Jigawa states.
The issue of food security is fundamental to this administration, and they will do all what we can do to ensure the food security.
This group of women, including Zulay Hatu, who is 7 months pregnant, are among the beneficiaries of the federal government's gesture, having lost between 2 to 5 hectares of rice to flooding in Jigawa state. I'm not discouraged, even when the flood destroyed my farm, and this support will make me produce more during the dry season, she says. All the seeds given to them are expected to mature between 90 to 120 days after planting. From Awuyo, Jigawa State, Musa Baba Ali, NTA News.
Doris is in our Port Harcourt Network Center with stories making the rounds in that zone. Hello, Doris.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Port Harcourt. An explosion has rocked the Christian Universal Church International, founded by Rivers State Governor's father, Reverend Elemaya Joshua Wike, in Port Harcourt. Chidibere Onya visited the scene of the incident and reports that the investigation has begun to fish out those behind the dastard acts.
When NTA News arrived at the scene of the incident, it was gathered that over 5 armed youths had invaded the church, identified as Christian Universal Church International, Port Harcourt, at about 11:58 p.m. and detonated the explosives suspected to be dynamite. The explosion, which damaged some parts of the church building, also created panic in the area.
All of a sudden, we have a signal that close to the UBA, there is a bomb that was thrown. So, unfortunately, the people that did that was running. So, our vigilante now caught them.
There is no justification. We are condemning it, especially is the house of God.
Confirming the incident via a telephone conversation, Rivers State Police Public Relations Officer Nnamdi Omoni said about 3 suspects were arrested and that investigation into the incident has begun. Meanwhile, the Rivers State Police Command and other security agencies have cordoned off the area to avoid further security breaches. In Port Harcourt, Chidibere Onya.
Flood victims at Ikem-Etam Junction, Akwa Ibom State, are calling on government and relevant agencies to mandate the construction company working on the road to compensate them to enable them revive their businesses. Kelvin Samuel, who has been following up developments, reports.
Memory
days of the heavy flood, which occurred on the 18th of September 2020 at the Komitam Junction, where goods and property worth millions of naira were destroyed, may have been long forgotten by those who were not directly affected, but still very fresh in the minds of the victims who lost their means of livelihood as a result.
We woke up from sleep and we saw that everywhere was filled with water and the chow was covered with water. We had to...
As a construction company working on the road mobilized back to site, the victims are demanding compensation as, according to them, the incident resulted from an abandoned drainage channeled to their business premises by the construction company, which led to all the water being emptied into their homes, washing away their businesses.
A gigantic company like them supposed not to have any fault on the road construction.
They have not paid any dime to any person that has a property in that place. So we are very, very aggrieved about their action.
We need our compensation. That is what we
didn't do a proper work. So our house was flooded. A lot of things were damaged. So we need compensation.
Effort to get reactions from the Controller Federal Ministry of Works of Akwa Ibom State was unsuccessful, as he was said not to be on seat at the time of this report. While government at all levels are working hard to manage natural flood disaster, it hurts even more when it is man-made. Therefore, construction companies are advised to do proper feasibility study of sites before commencement of work to avoid destruction of property. In Uyo, Kevin Samuel, NTA News.
The ongoing panel of inquiry sitting in Port Harcourt has continued to entertain multiple cases of alleged acts of brutality, detention and violation of human rights of citizens by the disbanded SARS in Rivers State. Ijoma Ugweke has details.
The fourth day of the panel sitting recorded more startling revelations of alleged illegalities and right abuses committed by operatives of the Nigeria police. Best man Odikanyi appeared before the panel to seek justice over a purported injury inflicted on him by operatives of Nigeria police, which led to amputation of his leg. He wanted his alleged tormentators to be made to face the consequences of their action.
The person that caused the breach of our client's fundamental right is not before you. He has not been prosecuted. He's walking around, going about his duty, and even committed more heinous crimes.
The case of Bestman, just like many others that have been decided by the court of competent jurisdiction, was, however, struck out after going through the records.
Because of the court, J, as he is, delivered the said judgment, which before us speak for themselves. So all we need to do is to take cognizance of the records of J and proceed to recommendation. That is the opinion of this panel.
Other cases brought before the panel were petitions on acts of brutality, violation of human rights, and seizure of vehicle by operatives of Nigeria Police. The petitioners pleaded for compensation and the need for police reform. The petition from Patience Mba, whose son got missing from custody, and that of Sandra Messi, who was allegedly abused by high-ranking police personnel, got accelerated hearing from the panel. In Port Harcourt, Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
That's our beat. Nationwide continues after the break.
People get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
My name is Nando Jamda Muhammad.
Stevita
Hussein Musa.
Roduna Joel Finji.
Said Musa. John. I'm a carpenter. I've been doing this for more than 8 years now.
And I said that plantain na kai kimamin shekara uku.
I've been
Selling my tomatoes for about 10 years now, and I do it for a better Nigeria.
And I do it for a better Nigeria.
And you can see how we're doing our small little work to make Nigeria great.
As you can see, I'm a technician and I'm doing it to help myself and to help my generation.
Business. For a better Nigeria.
This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
NTA News 24. A 24-hour news station brings to you news and happenings 7 days a week.
News at 10 a.m., news update at 11 and 1 p.m.
News desk at 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. and late evening news at 11 p.m.
Follow us on any of our platforms and keep abreast of events and current affairs within and outside our shores.
We are on DSTV channel 419, GoTV channel 46,
Star Times channel 101 and Free TV channel 703.
Join us.
Dialogue, empathy, love and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
For all to be well, we appeal that we should refrain from volatile, provocative, inciting messages and language.
Let's build and not destroy.
Thank you for staying with us. We are back in Abuja. 6 petitioners who were allegedly brutalized by men of the Nigeria police have presented their cases before the Judicial Panel of Inquiry and Restitution sitting in Lagos. Awal Yusuf Jibo reports.
Emmanuel Ajumafwe, Mark Nwadi, Mrs. Adeyemo Omeli, Darlington Hannah Olugbodi, and David Fadile narrating their ordeals in the hands of men of the Nigeria police. One after the other, all the petitioners gave vivid accounts of what they went through. Seeking compensation and justice remain paramount in the application before the panel.
The Judicial Panel to remind the Nigerian police on my case and make sure Inspector Dana Ojo is arrested and face justice, and also fulfill their promise by the Commissioner of Police, settling medical bills and expenses.
While some of the petitioners had legal representatives, others did not. Meanwhile, when the case of Lucky was called for hearing, he was not present. The secretary to the panel told the chairman that Lucky told him he had an urgent appointment that needed his attention. Counsel to the respondent asked the panel to strike out the petitioner for lack of seriousness and total disregard to the panel. Counsel for the state, however, objected the submission of counsel, stating that the petitioner took permission from the secretary.
The petitioner, as we are informed, had been before the panel most of the day. The reason for a sudden takeoff is unknown to the panel. It will be in the interest of justice to allow an adjournment in the proceedings. The petition is adjourned to 8 December 2020 for hearing.
Justice Doris Okuobi, however, adjourned all the cases to next month for cross-examination. In Lagos, Awal Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
The last may not have been heard from the family of the deceased newspaper vendor in Abuja, Ifeanyi Okereke, as his widow, Josephine, has distanced herself from a reported 500 million naira compensation demand on the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. Abdullahi Sulaiman EIG reports.
Speaker House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila had condoled the family of late Ifeanyi Okereke in Suleja, where a trust fund to cater for the family needs was announced. House of Representatives also honored the deceased on the floor of the House at plenary. Suddenly, a 500 million naira set seeking compensation by some family members was reported, a move that Ifeanyi's widow, Stephanie Okereke, is opposed to.
I
hear news that we are demanding for 5. I say, But me, I didn't know that they are demanding. I was shocked, even crying. Say, how will they be demanding that kind of money instead of them finding ways how we will bury how you will bury his son?
In solidarity with the widow, a family friend and legal advisor to the Newspaper Vendors Association Abuja, who demanded justice be served.
We are not asking for money. 500 million naira will not even bring Ifeanyi Chukwu Okereke back. Any amount of money, it cannot even bring this young man back. It's what we need is justice.
I want to say again that the steps taken by the speaker are also highly commendable, because there's no vicarious liability to the speaker.
Ifeanyi Okereke, a newspaper vendor around the Federal Secretariat, died from wounds he sustained from gunshots by one of the security detail attached to the speaker.
The Nigerian Navy is pressing on with its mission to provide a more conducive environment for its personnel to live and work while defending the nation's territorial waters, as the Naval High Command inaugurates some completed infrastructural projects at the Nigerian Navy Barracks, Ogara in Delta State. The project, commissioned by the Flag Officer Commanding Western Naval Command Rear Admiral Oladele Raji, on behalf of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ekweibas, include asphalted road network, fully furnished cluster of 3 blocks of 4 flats accommodations for youth, junior officers and gymnasium. The Flag Officer Commanding Headquarters, Nigerian Navy Logistics Command, Ogara, Rear Admiral Samaila Lassa, on his part, expresses the belief that the completed projects would no doubt help to improve the morale of officers and men in the command as they discharge their duty of protecting the maritime-based resources.
It is expected to encourage regular exercises for longevity of fitness and health of the personnel. The Logistics Command has continued to carry out its responsibilities in line with its motto, support for efficiency, within available resources to the command.
Some of the projects were named after some past flag officers commanding for their contributions to the development of the command. We now join from our pioneer at our Jos Network Center for details on Transport Minister's engagement with critical players in the rail rehabilitation in Jos.
Thank you, Joseph, and welcome to Jos. Ahead of the commencement of rehabilitation and reconstruction of the existing Port Harcourt to Maiduguri narrow gauge railway and its accessories, the Federal Ministry of Transportation is engaging critical players in Jos to address concerns on the environmental and social impact of the project. Indian and Abuja was at the stakeholders engagement workshop.
Recognizing the socio-economic impact of rail transportation, especially with the successes recorded in the Takpe, Warri, and Abuja-Kaduna lines, the federal government is resolute in rehabilitating and reconstructing rail lines in the country. The latest is the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri narrow gauge railway and its accessories. With the project expected to commence in the first quarter of 2021, the environmental and social impact assessment of the work has begun, with stakeholders meeting held across 12 states that the rail line transverses. The meeting in Jos exchanged the possible impacts that could occur as a result of the project, find out concerns of the stakeholders and possible approach to resolve them, as well as establish terms of reference.
It's left for the stakeholders within Jos environments to key into the plans and then the progress of the federal government.
So far from our satellite imagery, there are over 300 communities along the right of way for this project.
So far, over 100 communities have been engaged, with stakeholders cutting across all strata of the economy.
All stakeholders will be aware of what the project is all about and how it will affect them, so they can voice out their issues in good time so that it will be addressed.
No distant time, people will start enjoying the ride of train.
Then eventually, it will make our routes to last longer.
The project has 3 phases of design and monitoring, rehabilitation and reconstruction, as well as the operational stage where the trains are running. In Jos, Indenyan and the Abayang, NTA News.
Hopes of airlifting Christian pilgrims from the Yakubu Gowon Airport Haipang received a boost with an inspection tour undertaken by the Executive Secretary, Nigerian Christian Pilgrim Commission, Reverend Yakubu Pam, as part of preparations for the 2020 Christian pilgrimage. Abdulwahab Babankanti reports that the NCPC Executive Secretary was conducted round the facilities at the airport by the airport manager, Mr. Ayinla Olufemi.
Facilities inspected were the departure hall, which still needs some finishing touches, such as furniture and lighting system. The NCPC Executive Secretary also inspected the airport clinic, where the intending pilgrims will undergo medical checkup before boarding. He was similarly shown the conveyor belt where the passengers' luggages will pass through, which had been installed and ready to commence work as soon as it is powered.
My joy and happiness, whatever the challenges we have seen, there are just little challenges that I know the governor will take care of them. My joy.
Secretary to the government of Plateau State, Professor Alade Atu, said Plateau State government is driving the process of upgrading the airport.
The government, I know, with the paucity of funds, will do our best as possible to meet up with the basic requirements that have been identified here at the airport. And I can assure you, the governor is willing and pushing enough to ensure that there's international flight during this time.
Also speaking, the airport manager, Mr. Ayinla Olufemi, explained that there were few challenges at the airport, but was delighted that the state government had promised to address them as the provision of scanning machines. Yakubu Gowon Airport is the ninth to be inspected so far by the Commission. In Jos, Abdulwahab Babankanti, NTA News.
To curb and eradicate gender-based violence, the National Human Rights Commission, Plateau State, is seeking collaboration with the Chief Judge of Plateau State, Justice Yakubu Dakwak, towards ensuring that the rights of women and children in the society are protected under the law. This is part of activities marking the 16 days of activism, which centered in bringing an end to gender-based violence. Salah Abdurrahman Mohammed reports.
16 days of activism against gender-based violence is an annual international campaign which was started by activists at the inaugural Women's Global Leadership in 1991 and continues to be coordinated each year by the Center for Women's Global Leadership. It is used as an organizing strategy by individuals and organizations around the world to call for the prevention and elimination of violence against women and girls. It's in this light that the National Human Rights Commission, Plateau State, is engaging the judiciary to galvanize support in ending gender-based violence.
We had advocated training of judicial officers on handling cases of sexual and gender-based violence.
The Chief Judge assured that he will do anything within the confines of the law to ensure that the cases of gender-based violence in the state are duly and adequately handled.
Development generally is human rights or people's rights. It's a very important aspect of rule of law. And if we are not relying on rule of law, I'm telling you the truth that we cannot develop anywhere. Because when people have their rights, I guarantee that they're being enforced. They put in their best.
The International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women runs until 10 December, which is also a Human Rights Day. In Jos, Salah Abdurrahman Mohammed, NTA News.
It's back to Joseph in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide.
Many thanks, Frema. Governor Aminu Bello Masari of Katsina State has flagged off the distribution of COVID-19 palliative donated to the state by individual and organizations. Now, more than 12,000 households have so far benefited. Awal Haliru has the report.
The emergence of COVID-19 pandemic witnessed an unprecedented solidarity and cooperation between private sector and government at federal and state level to provide a concerted effort of addressing negative effects of the pandemic. The Victims Support Fund of the foundation donated more than 11,000 assorted food items, personal protective equipment, and essential hygiene products to Katsina State government.
The assistance will cushion the effects of our present situation.
Governor Aminu Bello Masari explained that the donation would complement the commitment of the state government to addressing the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on socio-economic life of the people.
The state government is taken proactive measures which have yielded the required result of controlling the state of the pandemic and the activities of bandits that have developed in the state and other parts of northwestern.
The leader of the Victim Support Fund, Toyesin Okerele Ogunsiji, said the foundation embarked in rebuilding government-broken infrastructures and women empowerment programs since the beginning of the pandemic.
We were giving 4,422 bags each of rice, beans, and maize, and then 4,422 gallons of 4-liter vegetable oil and salt.
The chairman of the State Task Force on COVID-19, Deputy Governor Maniri Yakubu, stated that implementation committee has been constituted to undertake the distribution of the relief items. Awal Haliru, NTA News.
Let's bring you sports now. Rotary Club of Abuja uplifts para soccer athletes as Badminton Federation of Nigeria visits Abia State Government House in Umuahia. Amanzi Marcus brings us details on sports update.
It was a weekend of celebration for players and officials of the Para Soccer Federation of Nigeria as they received tricycles from members of Rotary Club Abuja to ease their mobility challenges. The event, which took place at the Old Parade Ground Area 10 Abuja, is part of activities to mark World Polio Day and the certification of Nigeria as a polio-free country. President of the Federation, Musbahu Lawal Didi, said other organizations should emulate the good gesture.
And I think I'm using this medium to thank Rotary family.
So we keep on, supporting them and making sure that life is better for them.
President of the Badminton Federation of Nigeria, Francis Obi, has commended the wife of the governor of Abia State, Nkechi Ikpeazu, for her contributions towards a possible maiden appearance of Nigeria at the Para Badminton event of the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics. The First Lady pledged continuous support to enable the 5 athletes attend more competitions that could enhance better world rankings and a possible qualification for the Paralympics. Nkechi Ikpeazu donated a vehicle to the athletes to further their quest for a better livelihood and medals at national and international competitions. Meanwhile, the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, to be held in 2021 because of coronavirus, has cost $1.9 billion loss to the organizers. The games cost $13 billion before the postponement, according to a Japanese newspaper, Yomiuri. Members of the organizing committee and stakeholders will in December decide on the breakdown of the burden of the delay, with emphasis on extra costs associated with the postponement. In boxing, former world heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson has ruled out any hope of returning to the ring as a professional boxer after surprisingly drawing with Roy Jones Jr., a former world champion in 4 different weight categories. The fight in Los Angeles, USA was devoid of fans and ringside judges due to COVID-19, but the World Boxing Council formed a set of judges who remotely scored the exhibition fight. 54-year-old Tyson was in control the entire way, while 51-year-old Jones Jr. was the more visibly fatigued of the 2 boxers during the 8-round encounter, with each lasting 2 minutes. Response of Data Manzi Marcus, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari joins family, friends and the media industry to mourn celebrated journalist and former editor of Sunday Times, Gbolapo Ogunsowo. The president recalls the height to which the deceased took Sunday Times in the 70s, printing an unprecedented 1 million copies per week, thereby leaving his footprints on the sands of time. The late Ogunsowo, President Buhari adds, would also be remembered for his weekly column, which was full of wisdom, wit, humor, and pointed the way to a better nation. The departed journalist spent the latter part of his life as a clergyman, a fact that the president sees as a perfect blend of the secular and the spiritual, which he therefore recommends to those coming behind. And that's NTA Nationwide for today. Thank you very much indeed for your company. I'm Joseph Johnson. Bye-bye.